Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I am Chef Marcus Guiliano, and I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is food. What do we have up today, Jamie?
So today we're going to talk about Quinoa 101.
Quinoa 101, one of my favorite topics, quinoa. Okay?
So tell us a little bit about quinoa and what quinoa is.
Sure. So first off, quinoa has been cultivated for the last 3,000 to 4,000 years. It's been a staple of the Incan diet in the Andes Mountains. That they actually cultivated it for that long. Now they've actually eaten it probably for the last 7,000 years in the wild. So once they figured out, you know, this stuff is really good, they started cultivating it. So 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, cultivation. They call it the mother grain. It's really one of their staples.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about where we get our quinoa from.
Good question.
At Aroma Thyme.
So most quinoa that's out there is bought from South America, still from the Andes Mountains. That's where it grows. That's where it's from. And that's where most restaurants, most health food stores, that's where most quinoa comes from.
Why? Why do they get it from there?
Because that's typically what's available on the market. You have to do much more research to find Colorado quinoa. And we've done so much research. We've been on the farm a handful of times. There's a great farm in Colorado called White Mountain Farms in Mosca, Colorado. It's 8,000 feet elevation, and they've been growing quinoa since 1980. There's also a few pockets in Canada that grow it as well. But as far as American production, White Mountain Farms in Mosca, Colorado, they're the leading producers. Paul and Ernie New. They do a phenomenal job since 1980, and they've grown several. I mean, literally like 100 types of quinoa. Quinoa comes in white, red, and black. That's how you can buy it. We just recently got a shipment of black quinoa in. It's a little pricier.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about cooking quinoa, how you cook it.
Sure. Cooking quinoa is so easy. We take 1 part water and 1 part quinoa. So you take 1 cup of water, 1 cup of quinoa, bring your water to a boil, add your quinoa, turn it down to low, put a lid on it, and literally within 10-15 minutes, Jamie, it's done cooking. That's how simple it is.
What are some of the things that you can actually do with quinoa?
So you can make a salad with it. You can cool it down and make a salad. You can make a stuffing with it. You can serve it as like a side, like rice, which is really one of the best ways to do it. Now, besides cooking it, you can also sprout it. Quinoa sprouts remarkably quick. If you soak it for 2 hours in water, drain the water, put it in the refrigerator, overnight it'll sprout. Now it'll last for 2 weeks like that in the refrigerator. And at that point you can either cook it, it'll cook much quicker. You can just put 1 part water, 1 part quinoa, bring it to a boil, put the quinoa in, turn the heat off and put a lid on it, and it's good to go in about 10 minutes. Or, Jamie, you can take those sprouts and use them on a salad and eat them raw. They're perfectly fine. Or toast them up, or even actually dehydrate them again and use them like on a crunchy garnish.
So you're talking about the sprouting quinoa. So tell us a little bit about the nutritional benefits of quinoa sprouted or actually cooked.
Sure.
So what are the nutritional?
If you sprout anything, you're going to get the nutrition. You're going to get the added enzymes, the added.
Why is that?
Because there's the vital life force of the food. Raw food versus cooked food. When something's raw, it's alive, it's living, it has vital life force, which is what we run on. We run on this vital life force. It's a megahertz. That's how it's measured, and it's totally necessary for us to be healthy. The more raw foods we eat, the more vital life force we eat, the healthier we are. But with that being said, quinoa is a powerhouse of nutrition. Iron is one thing that it's really, really known for. Calcium, phosphorus. Vitamin B, it has a ton of vitamin B, vitamin E. Here's the neat thing. It has better quality protein than meat. Now as a vegetarian, there's a lot of things that have better quality protein than meat. But for meat eaters who, so I eat meat because of all the amino acids, quinoa has 8 essential amino acids. It is truly a powerhouse of nutrition. That's the neat thing about quinoa. It's really incredible. So in 1983, a very well-known nutritionist named Gary Null did what he called the Egg Project. And he said, egg's the most perfect food out there, right? Loaded with tons of nutrients and vitamins. It fuels the baby chicken. He set out to analyze hundreds of foods to figure out what food would come closest to eggs. Well, quinoa far surpassed the nutritional value of an egg, blew it off the chart. So he called this the Egg Project. It was a white paper. It was a bunch of research that he did. And ever since '83, Gary Knoll has been touting the benefits of quinoa. So that if you're into holistic nutrition or in hardcore health, you've known for years how valuable quinoa is.
Excellent. So what are the growing conditions of quinoa?
It has to grow at a minimum of 8,000 feet here in the U.S. That's what we know from visiting White Mountain Farms. It needs cool nights. It needs a short growing season, literally from May to the end of August. In June, you can actually eat the greens, which are similar to spinach. Of course, we never get those typically because most quinoa is from South America and they won't ship the greens up. But if you're fortunate enough to have a quinoa connection, you can get those greens shipped to you in early June.
I'm not sure if you mentioned this or not, but quinoa is gluten-free, which makes it
It's
fabulous.
wheat-free, gluten-free, so if you're suffering from celiac, if you're avoiding gluten, absolutely, Jamie, very good point.
Excellent. So, how is it harvested? How is quinoa harvested?
It's usually harvested by hand. It's one of those crops that needs to be harvested by hand, typically. In the processing part of it, it has what's called sapopins. And that's the outside layer, which needs to be slightly hulled, really not hulled, but removed. So you just can't take quinoa and grow it because you live 8,000 feet or 10,000 feet in elevation and think you're going to have a great crop. It's going to be very bitter. They have a special machine that actually slightly hulls it, just the outside layer of the saponins, to get that off, to get that bitterness off. I'm not sure what they did 4,000 years ago when they were cultivating it, because that layer would have been there unless they figured something out back then.
So an interesting little fact about quinoa is that what has happened to the price of quinoa since 2006, and why has it?
Because quinoa has been used now by chefs like crazy. It's been a hot culinary item. It's been hot on the health food trend in the stores. Quinoa prices since 2006 have tripled, Jamie. They have tripled. Now here's the one thing about us. We buy it from White Mountain Farms. We buy an American producer. We pay shipping on it. We pay double to begin with of what quinoa would be from South America, because there's just so much production from South America and it's flooded the market. And that's just the price. So if people are paying 50 cents a pound, we're paying $1 a pound. That's not the current prices, but that's the ratio that we're in line. But I feel that it's worth it because as a small business, I want to support a small business, and supporting a farm, especially an American farm that we have a relationship with, Jamie, is important to us. So that extra double the price is really nothing compared to the relationship and the experience we've had with Paul and Ernie New on their farm. So that's really the selling point for us, is we know them personally, and we were just on the farm again in 2013. We've been on the farm in the late 90s several times. Courtney was on the farm when she was, what, 8 months old? And it's just an amazing sight to see quinoa out there growing in a field, and especially with the mountains as the backdrop. So
thank you very much for this excellent lesson on quinoa. I think it was a fabulous lesson, and hopefully people will eat more quinoa and support more American
quinoa. Absolutely, that's the way to go. But if you can't get American quinoa, I mean, quinoa is just healthy to begin with. So definitely consume quinoa. If you have any questions, please email me at chef@chefonamission.com. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe to my channel, send me questions. I'll be happy to answer. Thank you very much.